we got a question from Chris, who's a 42-year-old jiu-jitsu practitioner getting ready for his first competition, and he's been looking at his bracket that's coming up, and his bracket is very thin. In fact, he's the only person doing it. So he's either going to go up in weight or he's going to go down in age. Again, he's being 42 years old, so he's curious what I would tell him to do. If I was his coach or if I was getting ready to do a competition myself, would I go up in weight or would I go down in age? It's a good question because that's going to happen to some of you guys from time to time, depending on what end of the spectrum you are on the weight class. And fun story before we get into it, his wife actually signed him up for the competition without him knowing it. Apparently, he trains with his daughters and stuff like that, and his daughters compete. And his wife was like, they should see their father compete too. So she signed him up and said, surprise, here you go. And, I think your wife maybe is kind of right about that. They should see their father compete. They should see their father being a warrior just like them. And I think it'll be a good thing. Win or lose, right? It's not about the win. It's about the actual doing the thing so they can see you doing that. So with that said, let's jump into this, Chris, and anybody else that has this question. So I'm going to share what I would do and what I've done in the past in this kind of situation or similar situations, and you can kind of take that for what you will. But again, before I give you my perspectives on it, you need to think about how things go in the gym when you roll, right? How do you roll with people that are a little bit bigger than you? Is it a big deal? Does it create a lot of problems? How do you roll with people that are younger than you? Right? Because you're 42 years old. How do you roll with people that are maybe in their early 30s or 20s or whatever? Think about those things because, again, that's going to be a lot of times the training that you have in the gym. That's really where you get a perspective on how your game's going to work. And then really competition is simply taking that game that you develop in there and then you translate it out when you compete, right? That's it. But for my 2 cents, if you're going to take it, right, is that if I was in that situation, I would go up in weight. I wouldn't go down in age. The reason being is, for me at least, you're in the same actual weight class. I mean, you're up in the 200-pound weight class. I've never really had that big of a deal with going up in weight. In fact, there was a competition I had back in 2018. I went to the Nogi Pans, and I had a situation where normally I would do the 215-pound Nogi weight class. But my buddy Nick was there, and we had trained together leading up to that competition, and I didn't really want to go against him. I thought it'd be kind of weird because I was training with him at their gym before the competition, so I was like, I'll just go up in weight class. And so I went to ultra heavy, which ultra heavy means it's unlimited, and it's like where the big boys go. I weighed in that day at 207 or 209, something like that, and ended up winning the competition, right? It was tough. There was a lot of stuff I had to adjust in my game because these were some big fellas, right? I think in the finals, I was up against a big, strong dude. He's like 270 pounds, and if he breathed on me the wrong way, I was moving and off balance, right? But again, I was able to make the adjustments. Whereas when I go down in age, ooh, man, that's a different story. Like in the gym, when I roll with guys that are bigger, but similar age to me, then they're either in their late 30s or 40s, no problems. If I go against some of my young brown or black belts or purple belts that are like young, scrappy, doesn't matter what age they are or what weight they are, that youthful energy combined with technique and stuff like that, and also how fast they recover, that gives me a lot of trouble. And when it comes to competitions, that's a big factor too, because when you're competing, maybe you beat one young guy, but then you got to go up against another and another, right? And if you don't have a lot of time to recover, they're going to be recovering, they're going to be powering up faster than you. And that's a big factor, at least in my mind. Not only am I going to have to deal with someone that literally has probably a deeper gas tank, their heart rate can go a little bit higher, they've just got more horsepower just by being youthful, but then I've also got to deal with the fact that now, they're also going to be recovering faster than me. I remember when, one more quick story, when I did the 2018 ADCC trials, I ended up taking third and did pretty well and went against some really tough young guys. But I think I was only able to do that well enough because that tournament had really long rest periods. It was almost like being in wrestling again, where I had anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour in between matches. And I remember one particular point, I had a tough match with a really tough young black belt. And when I was done, I was shot. I was so tired. And if it had been like an IBJJF style where you're probably going to go again in like 15, 20 minutes, I don't know how well I would have done. But I had about an hour in between, and I was able to rehydrate, recover, and everything else. And so, again, to sort of sum this up, when I train, I do well against guys that are heavier. I have a tougher time with younger people. When I compete, I've never really had trouble with bigger people. I do sometimes, but I would have more trouble with younger people. And so for you, if you were asking me, or if you get my 2 cents from it, I would say go up in weight And I would say avoid going down in age if you can do it. So hopefully that helps you, Chris, and anybody else that has that question. And I'll talk to you guys next time.